Am I the a-hole for not apologizing for withholding financial support until my son passed his paternity test? I'm 55 male, have 3 children, 2 girls and a boy. My son is my oldest, and up until recently, I thought he was a decent man. Unfortunately, my daughter-in-law Tessa, 32 female fake name, showed me that I was wrong when she revealed that the reason she was divorcing my son was because he cheated on her multiple times and gave her an STD. She made a social media post with pictures of text messages and video recordings of messages he left, proving her side. I was shocked, and when I confronted my son, he said she was over-exaggerating and that the only reason he did it was because she wasn't putting out. Tessa gave birth to their second child 7 months ago, and their first child is 3 years old. I apologized to Tessa for my son's behavior and then yelled at him for being so selfish, intentionally hurtful and cruel. I did not hide or downplay my disappointment and was only silenced by my wife's defense of our son. I remembered how hard it was when my wife had our second daughter and couldn't believe she didn't have a shred of sympathy for Tessa. Tessa's a sweet and smart person, and she didn't deserve what our son did. My wife has been letting our son stay in our house despite my wishes, saying that he needs our support, but I say he's in need of a hard lesson. We fought about this constantly. Eventually, my son accused Tessa of getting the STD from someone else and demanded a paternity test. I knew these claims were BS and saw red. I yelled at him for it, and his mother came to his defense, saying that a man had every right to know if his kids were his. I countered by demanding a test of my own, and my wife was offended. I moved out. She and my son sent others after me, either lying or exaggerating about what things were like at home, and I just got tired of defending myself. I was going to let things be until either my wife or son contacted my job and made hurtful accusations about a female employee I've been mentoring for the past year. And that's when I snapped, and now I'm filing for divorce. The house is paid off, so I'm willing to let her have it. But until a judge says so, I've stopped putting money in any of the accounts she has access to and only make payments to the credit card with a $4,000 limit so she has money to buy groceries, get gas, and pay for her other expenses. I've also changed my main beneficiaries to my daughters and told my son that if he wanted a single cent of my money, he'd have to take a DNA test. He later did, and he passed, and I responded with an email acknowledgement that he was my son, as well as a copy of the re-updated will where he will receive 10% of my assets. My wife and son are demanding a public apology, but I don't feel like they deserve it. Am I wrong? Edit to add, just to be clear, since people seem to be skipping over it, my wife called my job and accused one of my mentees of getting special treatment in exchange for special favors from me and other men in the company. She made such a big public stink that HR is investigating, and my mentee is considering leaving due to the embarrassment and stress, not to mention the damage to my own professional reputation. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole, but get your half of the house. Get a really good divorce lawyer. Document. Either that or get half the house's value and assets. Do not walk away from the investment in the house. She can either find a way to buy you out or sell and split the money. My sister made that mistake. It still haunts her. She was running from an abusive husband, so I get why she just wanted out. You are a great man, definitely not the a-hole. But don't just give her, your narcissist wife, the house. Also keep records and evidence, and please take care of Tessa and the kids, as their granddad, as much as you can while you can. Honestly, I'm not in love with the house and wanted to move and downsize anyway. Plus, if she gets the house and sells it, then that could be less I'd have to pay later on. Perhaps, but don't think for a minute she won't be vying for every penny she can get. You would be an idiot to start with you can have the house because then, her attention and demands get to be on everything else. She has already proven to you she fights dirty and you weren't even divorcing. Don't expect logic and acceptance of well he gave me that. She is coming for everything. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to give up my inheritance money to pay for my brother's wedding? I, 27 female, lost my dad 2 years ago. It was the hardest thing I've ever been through. In his will, he left me a significant amount of money, around $30,000, with a note that it was specifically to help me get on my feet, build my future, and have stability. He didn't leave the same amount to my older brother, 30 male, because my dad always said my brother was reckless with money and never saved a dime. Fast forward to now, my brother is engaged and his fiancée wants a huge extravagant wedding. They don't have anywhere near enough money to cover it. Somehow, my family got it into their heads that I should step up and use my inheritance to fund their big day, because Dad would have wanted the family together celebrating love. I said absolutely not. That money was my father's last gift to me. It's helping me pay down my student loans and put a down payment on a small house. I told them if they want a big wedding, they can either wait and save or scale back to something affordable. My brother and his fiancée blew up. She called me selfish. My brother said I was dishonoring Dad's memory, and my mom said, it's just money, but a wedding is once in a lifetime. Now extended family is on their side, saying I'm being greedy and tearing the family apart over dollars and cents. Here's the kicker. My brother has a history of blowing money on cars, gadgets, trips, and then asking everyone else to bail him out. I can't help but feel like if I gave in, I'd never see a penny of it back, and Dad knew exactly what he was doing by leaving the money with me and not with him. Still, I feel torn. I don't want to be the villain who ruined my brother's wedding, but I also don't think my future should be sacrificed for one day of partying. Am I the a-hole for refusing to use my inheritance to pay for my brother's wedding? Not the a-hole. That inheritance was specifically left to you for your stability and future. Your dad even acknowledged your brother's spending habits in his decision. Your family is trying to guilt you into throwing away the last gift your father gave you, and that's incredibly unfair. A wedding is one day, your future is decades. They can either scale back or wait until they can afford the wedding they want. It's not your job to bankroll it. That's exactly what I've been trying to say. My dad was very intentional when he divided things up, and I know he did it thinking about my future and the fact that my brother has always been reckless with money. It just feels so unfair that I'm being guilt-tripped for wanting to respect my dad's last wishes. And you're right, a wedding is one day, but I have to think about the decades ahead of me. The fact they are trying to say your dad would want you to use the money for your brother's wedding is laughable. If he wanted it used for that purpose, he would have left it for that purpose. Your dad made his intentions clear, even addressing why he wasn't leaving it to your brother. Sounds like you are honoring your dad's wishes, and he would be proud of the way you are thinking of your future. You don't need an excuse. Even if he were the world's best brother, he's not, and she were the world's best fiancée, she's not. They need to keep their hands out of your pocket. It blows my mind that they feel so entitled to money that was never theirs. If I had asked them for a cent in my life, they'd laugh in my face, but somehow I'm expected to bankroll their wedding. Nah. Not the a-hole. Do not give in to this peer or family pressure BS. The pressure has been non-stop. It feels like I'm the bad guy for not handing over money that was never meant for anyone else in the first place. I'm tired of being guilt-tripped when the real issue is my brother refusing to live within his means. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not giving any money for cancer care for my dad's stepchild? I, 19 female, have been very low contact with my dad since I moved out in April 2024. Very low contact, meaning I replied to him once since then, and exactly 0 times until this. Then he asked for us to talk on the phone a couple of months ago. I didn't, so he sent me a long text saying one of his stepkids has cancer, and they are raising money to afford all the surgeries and treatments they will need. He has 2 other stepkids, all under 8, and he was saying it was a necessity to keep their heads above water. He sent me a link to a GoFundMe that was set up for donations to help them out. When I didn't reply, he told me he knew I got a partial scholarship for college, had help from my mom's parents, and had money my mom left me. She died 2 years ago. He said I could afford to give a few thousand, if not tens of thousands. He said this was about a sick child, who is my family, and 2 other kids who are also my family, who need to be taken care of. He begged me to care and overlook the fact that I don't have a relationship with the kids in question or his wife, and help because we're still a family. I didn't donate. And I replied saying I would not be donating and he needed to just accept what others would give. He kept spamming me with updates and any social media posts they made where they ask for money because of the costs. I didn't read any of them. I just ignored it and muted him for a week. About a week ago, he said they were already facing challenges because his wife quit her job to care for her sick child. I didn't reply, but he started to get pissy and accused me of being heartless and selfish because I don't need the money more than them. Dad has no idea how much I have. Since he and Mom weren't together, he never had access to what she left me and was never given any info by me or my grandparents. I think he has a pretty good idea it's more than $5,000 or even $20,000, but he doesn't know. Figures were never discussed, so I can't just tell him I can't afford it. But I had already decided I wouldn't donate. And he's getting more frustrated with me because I know they're having difficulty and still won't help. Am I the a-hole for not donating? I was always planning on going no contact, but after this, I feel like I might need to bring that forward because we're not coming back from any of this. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. I'm sorry. No contact is the answer. Thanks, it's okay though. I've known for a long time that this was coming. If it were me, I would donate $100 and then go no contact. That way it shuts down his future claims that you never helped. When it comes to your inheritance from your mother, I would just lie and say it is in a trust that you cannot access for many years. When I worked for attorneys, that's what they told people to say who inherited money, when all the distant relatives came out of the woodwork with their hands out. It usually shuts people down because they want money now. And if you say you cannot access it for a long time, they used to recommend saying until retirement, which is usually quite far in the future, the users would normally back off. But going no contact will save you a lot of grief. I'm sorry you didn't win the dad lottery, but there is no reason to be in contact with someone who basically just wants to use you for money and free babysitting. Not the a-hole. No contact is the answer. He's looking for you only because of the money. You're going through college on your own means. He hasn't contributed. And now he wants your mother's inheritance for his family? What about the kid's father and his family? They should be helping. You're about to go to college or already in college, so being heartless and selfish because you don't need the money more than them isn't the truth. Of course they need money, but it's their priority, not yours. You don't even know the kids, and suddenly they are family? His choices don't have to affect yours. He decided to become a stepdad to kids you don't even know. They are his family, not yours. Although I would donate like $20 to the GoFundMe just because I would do that for anyone in need. That feels like the right move now. I think this has just given me the push to do it sooner rather than later. Just pull the plug and do it. He's never going to stop. Especially since he knows you have money to spare. Don't ever tell anyone how much you have either. Good luck, OP. Last story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to share a bed with my ex-wife again? I, 41 male, was married to my ex-wife, 37 female for a while. We started dating when she was 24. Although she had more sexual experience than me at the time, she said I was the first guy to treat her to proper dates, and not just casual hookups. We got engaged 20 months after we met, got married, and eventually had our daughter, who's now 12. My ex always seemed to be searching for something more in life, but I couldn't figure out exactly what. Over time, that dissatisfaction grew, and our marriage unraveled when she cheated. I don't let that affect me too much, though it still stings. We separated 2 years ago, and our divorce was finalized last year. Since then, I haven't dated seriously, but she moved on pretty quickly. She dated a few guys before settling with Mark, 45 male, about 10 months ago. He seems like a good guy, and my daughter likes him, so I don't have any issues with him. Mark is a former football player, so he's got a solid athletic build. You can tell he had a lot of muscle back in the day, but now he's in that muscular but carrying some extra weight phase. Not unhealthy, just not as fit as he used to be. Think Shaq post-retirement. I have a beach house that we used to visit as a family, but after the divorce, I've been taking my daughter there on weekends. Last week, when I went to pick her up at my ex's house, she asked if she could come along because Mark was away on a work trip and she was bored. I said sure, no problem. The issue came up that night when she hopped into bed with me like we were still married. I asked about it, and she told me Mark wouldn't mind. Nothing happened, of course, but I wasn't comfortable with the situation. A few days later, she texted asking if she could stay again while Mark was busy next week. I waited to talk to her in person, and I explained that I wasn't okay with her sharing my bed while she's in a relationship. She said Mark wouldn't mind, but I asked if I could hear that directly from him. She got upset and accused me of being jealous of her relationship. Who cares if Mark wants it? Do you want it? Signs point to no. She can find a new place to vacation. Stop bringing your ex places. Not the a-hole. Some of y'all are missing the point of my statement. OP clearly doesn't want to share a bed, and that's reason enough to say no. Mark's opinion doesn't even enter into this. OP should say no for his own sake. Better yet, the ex-wife should hop into the daughter's bed to share instead of OP, being both uncomfortable with the idea of the ex-wife sharing his bed again and the unwelcome image of the current boyfriend being nonchalant. Not the a-hole. She's a cheater. She might be looking to do it again. Don't let her use you. My first thought. She is tired of the new one and is pushing boundaries to see if she still has a chance with OP. First, she asks to come on a trip, and he says yes. Then she jumps in his bed. He says nothing. Next, she will try to jump on him. Then he will be in a messy love triangle. Not to mention, this is bad for the kid witnessing this. Those boundaries are very important to all involved, so everyone knows their place. What husband or wife would be okay with this? Maybe one that has his own side piece when he goes away for work. I would hit the ceiling and call a divorce attorney. If my spouse and their ex pulled this vacation crap, they would both be gone from my life. OP needs a backbone, and she is playing games with these two guys. Period. Sounds like she's bored of Mark, or now you look more physically fit than Mark, so now she wants a taste. I hope your daughter takes after you and not her mother. I don't know how she feels about my looks compared to Mark's, but I am pretty sure Mark could beat me up very easily if it came to a physical confrontation, haha. So that is yet another reason to avoid getting involved in this whole thing.